shifts in the rainfall seasons and patterns in East Africa. Rains are starting late, and the rainfall season is ceasing early, which means the length of growing season is reduced. The number of extreme events has increased. That is more frequent dry spells. And then we also have more frequent flooding that is coming in. There is increased proliferation of pests and diseases, some of which used to exist, but now they are blooming due to the changes in the rainfall patterns. Now, the productivity of crops, and also because of the pests and diseases, is going lower and lower. It has got three major pillars. The first activity is where farmers get involved in producing whatever it is, could be crops, livestock products, and end up generating income out of it. But at the same time, they have got increased productivity per unit area. The second pillar is around resilience. And for that, in climate-smart agriculture, it basically means that there could be a challenge in terms of drought after the farmers have ended up planting their seeds. However, even with the drought condition of water stress, there is some crop coming out of it, for example, that they can harvest. And the farmers are capable of bouncing back and at least getting something that will keep them going. And then the third pillar of climate-smart agriculture is, where possible, reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. Having better information, first of all, helps the farmers to make informed decisions. The informed decisions are on their farm level and even landscape level. What that means is the soil fertility management, for example, needs to be done such a way that the farmers are informed that the first step to undertake is having soil testing to establish the level of nutrients that are there in the soil and the soil acidity or alkalinity. And then that helps the farmer to make decisions on what kind of crops are more suitable to plant there, and what kind of efforts are required to bring in the nutrients required, either from inorganic sources or organic sources. So when the farmers are informed, they end up making better decisions for increased productivity that we talked about in terms of climate-smart agriculture. At landscape level, a group of farmers in a given village, which could be having hilltops, as slopes to the valley bottoms, will now be able to come together and then work on a soil conservation activity where terraces can be dug across the contours, and which will cut across a number of farms at the landscape level. And therefore, that basically means that they'll be able to conserve the soil, to retain more water in the landscape. At the same time, the nutrient levels will not necessarily be compromised, and therefore the degradation will be sort of addressed in a way. And that helps to increase productivity. So the information that they need to get could be right from the weather forecasts and what is going to happen in terms of the season, and whether they expect an above normal rain season, whereby there is going to be more rain, and therefore we expect more hazards of soil erosion. The information that they make is not just about the agronomic practices and the kind of crops that they can plant, but also having in mind that these crops will end up getting into the market. If it is a commodity, So therefore, they get to know which kind of quality of crop is required, which specific type or variety is needed by the market, and in which quantities do they want altogether, so that the farmer can be more targeted when producing now for the market. And with that, they will be able to produce either in season with rainfall or off season with irrigation, knowing that there is a market for the produce, and therefore the costs that they have made use of in terms of labor and inputs will be paid back, and they'll get some profit out of it. These hubs will be hosted in the countries in Ethiopia by the Institute of Research, in Kenya by the Kenya Agricultural Research Institute, and in Rwanda by the national government under the auspices of Rwanda Agricultural and Animal Resources Board. In Kenya, we started off by having a workshop at the national level, and then moved from the national level. That was in the month of September 2022, and then went to the first county subnational level called Busia County in Western Kenya to have the workshops that were used in terms of identifying the requirements and the demand among stakeholders. Then in the month of October, we went to the second national, subnational place called Taveta County, and we had a workshop too, so that we could also assess the demand among stakeholders in a different agroecological zone that represents the other parts of the country of Kenya. In the month of November, we went through a marathon or relay workshops in Rwanda, starting from Kigali, the national workshop, doing the same with the Rwanda Agricultural Animal Resources Board, and went to the first district in Musanze, where we had the same meeting taking place, and then moved to the second district in Rwamagana, where the same did take place. Then we now plan for the workshops that will take place in Ethiopia in the month of January 2023, knowing that now we will be doing the final circuit of the workshops in Eastern Africa to be able to do a synthesis report of the status of the demand among stakeholders for land soil crop knowledge information in Kenya, in Rwanda, and in Ethiopia. And then with that, as we do the key informant interviews as a follow-up, we will now be able to capture more about the strategic, technical, operational requirements of the hubs to be hosted by those national institutions.